message a couple of weeks ago. I already knew what I was going to say, had it all worked out, had my text all together, had my outline. I got this. Wednesday night, coming from out of town, the Lord said, no, don't want that one. I'm like, wait a minute, I got that all. Wait, I'm finishing it up. What do you mean you don't like that one? No, don't like that one. They need another one. That one, nah. And so, I'm like, Lord, really? You really want, do you understand how much time I put into this? Yeah, but I want the other one. So, this is a message that, from the Lord, that someone needs to hear. Maybe it's me, I don't know, but someone needs to hear this. And so we're going to go through this, and I have my eye on the clock. It's 11:40, folks, so don't blame me if we go past 12. It's already 11:40. But let's go back to 1 Kings, and you make sure your fingers are all loosened up and warmed up because you're going to have to use your Bible. We're in 1 Kings, we're in chapter 19, looking at verse 13. And remember, this message is about updating God because, God needs to be informed about things, and so we're going to help him. So we're in 1 Kings 19:13, and it says, and behold, there came a voice unto him and said, what doest thou here, Elijah? Now that voice is from God. God has a question. What are you doing here? I didn't send you here. Why are you here? And Elijah starts out with facts. These are the facts, Lord, that you obviously don't know. So let me help you out. And he said, I've been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts. And he's patting himself on the back. Because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, fact. Thrown down thy altars, another fact. Slain thy prophets with the sword, okay, fact. And guess what? I'm the only one left. Whew. I got the Lord straight because obviously he didn't know those things, and I've updated him, and I feel pretty good about it. And if you jump down to verse 18, God said, oh, okay, let me give you some facts. He says, yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which has not kissed him. So, we have facts. The Lord has facts. I want you to go to Acts chapter 9, looking at verse 10. And we're going to go on down to 15. But we're in Acts chapter 9. We're looking at verse 10 down to 15. We're warming up your fingers. So we're in Acts chapter 9. We're looking at starting with verse 10. All right, so he says, and there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias. And he said, behold, I am here, Lord. And the Lord said to him, arise, go into the street which is called Straight, inquire in the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prayed, and hath seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in, putting his hand on him that he might receive his sight. And of course, Ananias answered, Lord, facts. I have heard many things of this man, because obviously you haven't heard, Lord. So let me just update you. I have heard many of this man, how much evil he hath done to the saints at Jerusalem. And just more information, Lord. He hath authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on thy name. Because, the Lord didn't know that, and Ananias just had to help him out. Now, remember, he's a disciple, and the Lord spoke to him, and he's listening, and, okay, Lord, but let me give you some facts, because obviously you missed this information, and I need to let you know about it. But, the Lord said to him, go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me. And I have to give Ananias credit. He did obey, even though he had his facts. And the facts, they're accurate. They're facts. Yes, this is Saul. He's done all those things. But the Lord said, I don't care about your facts. Let me tell you what I need you to do. And now I'm going to keep emphasizing facts. And I'm going to keep emphasizing because sometimes we do that. The Lord says, okay, I want to do this. Oh, Lord, let me explain a few things to you. You don't understand, and I need to update you because obviously you were busy doing something else and you don't know these circumstances. So let me just help you out, Lord. Okay. I want to read again. You're in Acts. I want to read Acts 10, chapter 10. We're going to look at verse 9. And there's several I want to do. So we're going to Acts, you're at Acts 9. We're going to go over to Acts 10, starting at verse 9. And it says, on the morrow as they went to their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up on the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And so he's praying, which is very good. He became hungry, and he would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. So now this is holy time. He's in a trance, vision from God. And guess what? He saw the heaven open. And he's like, oh my, heaven, the Lord is there, God is there, I'm in heaven. And so he's in heaven, but while he's there, a certain vessel descended unto him as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners and let down to earth. Now remember, heaven, God is there. He sees this, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth and wild beasts and creeping things and fowls of the air. And he is startled. Even more so, there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. Well, we think that voice was from, where did the voice come from? Who was that talking to him? Anybody have any ideas? Who was talking to him? Oh, I'm glad somebody knows. Yes, he's in heaven. God was speaking to him, said, Peter, I want you to rise, Peter, kill and eat. And Peter said, Lord, let me explain a few things to you. Not so. For I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. Because he said, Lord, obviously don't know. Lord, I'm a Jew. And we Jews, from back Moses' time, we were given a dietary restriction. And Lord, you haven't think I just need to help Lord out because he's obviously confused. He has me mixed up with somebody else. And I have never done it, Lord, ever. So, got those facts after God because he's not understanding. And the voice spoke to him again a second time. This is twice. What God hath cleansed, that call thou not common. Now, wait a minute. God is telling him again. He's already told him once. He has to tell him again. No. Don't be telling me this is unclean. I have cleaned it. And it was done, we're in verse 16, it was done thrice. He had to do this 3 times to one of the apostles who's having a vision in heaven, and he's not getting it because the Lord obviously doesn't understand a few things. You just you don't know about God. You got to keep updating. And while Peter doubted himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men who were sent from Cornelius had made an inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate and called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, was lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, behold, 3 men seek thee. Arise, therefore, and get thee down and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. So this is what he had to do to Peter. And see, the problem is that Peter had to let God know, you don't understand some things, God. And he's arguing with God about this heavenly vision because God didn't understand a few things. I'd like for you to go Mark chapter 4 and verse 36. Mark chapter 4, verse 36. And it reads, they took him, even as he was in the ship, and there was also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, the waves beat into the ship so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, this is Jesus, asleep on the pillows. And they awake him and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? Now you see, Obviously, Jesus didn't understand how serious the situation was. He didn't understand that, no, wait a minute. We're in a ship, there's a storm. We even have some water in this boat. So now we got to let Jesus, do you understand? First of all, you don't even care about us. Don't you care about us? We're in this boat that you sent us in, and here we're taking on water, and first of all, you're asleep. So, okay, I get it. You're one of those people that can sleep through anything. But we're going to take him, we're going to die. And so they had to get him informed, and he arose, verse 39, rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it you have no faith? And there's a great correlation between faith and fear. And guess what they did? In verse 41, they feared exceedingly. Now, wait a minute, you're already fearful. Now you're even more fearful because the waves are no longer crashing into your ship, and you're more fearful. And they said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? And see, my question is, if you didn't think Jesus could do anything about this situation, why'd you wake him up? You woke him up because you wanted a resolution to this problem. So he resolves the problem, and now you're like, well, wait a minute. You not only feared him, but like, what kind of man is this? Well, you woke him up to help you in a situation that was terrible, and then you turn around and marvel because he did it. I wonder if we're like that sometimes. We pray, Lord, I'm in a difficult situation. Would you please help me? And then the Lord, you're like, I can't believe it. God answers prayer. What? How? So this is what the disciples were going through. Now remember, this is part of the 12. These are the disciples, been with Jesus 3 years, and they still had doubts. So now we're going to jump over to John. I told you, keep your fingers nimble. John, we're in chapter 11. We're looking at verse 39. We're in John. Remember, this is all about updating God, because he doesn't understand things and he doesn't keep up with the latest and the greatest. So you have to update him. We're in John. We're looking at chapter 11 and verse 39. John chapter 11, we're looking at verse 39. And it says, Jesus said, Take ye away the stone, Martha. And Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he'd been dead 4 days. Now, see, Jesus didn't understand how the body decomposes when you die. He obviously did not understand that, and Martha had to update him and let him know. Now, wait a minute, if a body dies, it decomposes. And how many people have smelled dead animals before? Okay, and he said, you're going to open the tomb. Jesus, let me help you out. It's been 4 days, because he didn't know how many days it was, right? He was obviously confused. He thought it happened maybe yesterday or this morning. It's been 4 days. And guess what? After 4 days and body's decomposing, it stinks. And Lord, we don't smell all that stuff. So Jesus had to remind her that Jesus said unto her in verse 40, Say I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God. So, and actually it's very interesting to me, because the minute they removed the stone, according to Martha, it should have been stinking already. Everybody should have smelled it and, this is bad. But that didn't happen. And what was the problem? Belief. She did not believe. That was the problem. And I wonder, is it possible that sometimes we don't believe what God can do, and we have to update him? And like, Lord, you don't understand what I'm going through. You really don't understand. Let me explain a few things, Lord. First of all, this happened, then that happened, and that happened to me. And what am I supposed to do, Lord? I mean, do you understand? And of course, the one I like to use is I just say, really, Lord? Like, I don't have enough on my plate, and now we're doing this. But what's the problem? Belief. We don't believe God and what he can do. And we doubt him. And we start bringing up all the facts because obviously the Lord does not keep up with facts. He doesn't understand some things. And so we have to update him. And we spend time arguing with God, updating him, giving him facts. They are facts. They are indeed facts. We want to spend all our time giving him facts rather than listening, rather than believing and trusting him. Because if let's take a look. Oh, I should do this one. All right. So what do we know about God? Oh, what we know about God is first, go to 1 John 3:20. We're in 1 John 3:20. 1 John, we're in chapter 3, looking at verse 20. For if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. How many, pardon me, how many things does he know? All things. So if he knows all things, do we need to update him necessarily? He knows all things. Okay, I want to jump because I want to let you know it's not just New Testament. Pardon me. Go with me to Numbers chapter 13, and I'm looking at verse 32 and 33. Numbers chapter 13, pardon me, verse 32 and 33. And these are the 12 spies, and they're going on. Oh, the land that eateth up the inhabitants, and all the people we saw there were men of great stature. Verse 33, there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, would come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. So they're saying it's a fact, but I'd like for you to go to Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 11. I want you to give some context for their facts that they're telling. So we're in Deuteronomy 3, verse 11. We're in Deuteronomy 3, we're looking at verse 11. Because I want to put some context so we can understand this. It says, for only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of the giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length. Now, what's a cubit? It's a foot and a half. This man was 13 feet tall. And he was just of the giants. And it was 4 cubits wide, which is 6 feet. So here's a man standing 13 feet tall. Shoulders are 6 feet wide, and he's 13 feet tall. So let me ask you a question. If he's 13 feet tall, that means he's about, when the men were standing, they were about to his waist. And that was the giants. That wasn't the Anakins. That was just the giants. Anakins was another special category. And they were about 16 feet, anywhere 16, 17 feet. So, in other words, and I want you to do something for me. I know I'm putting some people under pressure. I'd like for you to stand for me. I just want to put things in context. Please stand. Those of you that are able and awake, there's 2 criteria. You have to be able and awake. I'd like for you to put your hand at about mid-thigh. Just put your hand. Now, this is the children of Israel. They're about that tall compared to the Anakins. Yeah. Do you understand the facts and the fact they were a little bit fearful? Just a little bit fearful. But what was the problem? The problem wasn't the facts. Yeah, they're that big. They didn't believe God. That was the problem. You may be seated. So if you want to put it in context, yes, the facts are accurate, very accurate facts. The problem is you don't believe God. And God knows all things that we read in 1 John 3:20. So we spend our time updating God. He already knows. So now the question becomes, well, if he already knows and he knows all things, so then do we even need to pray? Because he knows all things. He knows I have this problem, this issue. So do we even need to pray? Because it's kind of like it's conflicting, updating God and praying. So let's go to 1 Thessalonians 5:17. We're in 1 Thessalonians, we're looking at chapter 5, verse 17. And we're given a very short but succinct instructions. Pray without what? What does that mean? Oh, so we're continually to pray. But God knows all things. But we're praying. Let's go to Luke chapter 18. We're looking at verse 1. Luke, we're looking at chapter 18. We're looking at verse 1. And this is Jesus talking. We're in Luke chapter 18, looking at verse 1. And this is Jesus talking. And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to, what is it? Not to faint. So what does that mean, not to faint? What you pass out? Is that what that mean? You pray but don't pass out? What does that mean? What is faint? What are you talking about? Discouraged. Discouraged. Oh, okay. But we should be praying. Now, if God knows all things, that we don't need to update God, but we're told we need to pray without ceasing, that seems to be a little contradiction. Wait a minute, pray without ceasing. You don't want me updating. Is there some type of mistake here? What's going on? Oh, come on, you can't take my text from me. I was just getting ready to have you go there. All right, let's go to find out what he's talking about. Let's go to Mark. We're looking at chapter 11, verse 24. We're in Mark chapter 11, looking at verse 24. And Jesus said, therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, that when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. Oh, is there something different going on? Yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. We're going to Mark 9, 23 and 24. Mark 9, looking at verse 23 and 24. Mark 9, verse 23 and 24. And verse 23 says, Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. That's the key. We need to believe God. And then in verse 24, for those that are a little weak, in verse 24, and straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. That can be our prayer, because if we don't believe that God is, he can't answer our prayer. See, the issue is updating God and believing God. That's really the two issues. See, you can update God like we've read. You can update and give him all the facts. This, oh, Lord, you don't understand this fact, that fact. I don't have a job. I need money. That's not the issue. The issue is, do we believe that God is able to help us and sustain us? That's the issue. See, we think when we start enumerating all the problems, that's a prayer. That's not a prayer. You're just updating God on facts that he already knew. But anyway, that's all you're doing. That is not a prayer. Prayer is asking God, Lord, yes, this has happened, that's happened, but I know you're able, in spite of all the facts that surround me. So when we don't want to do facts. We don't want to update God. We want to believe that he can handle. So we're praying because we believe that God is able, regardless of the facts. And see, as we've noticed, they're facts. They can't be disputed. These are actual facts. Don't have a job. I don't have money. Oops, I need money. I need that bill, that bill. Oh, those are facts. But when we're going to God in prayer, we're saying, Lord, you know I need all those things. You know I'm broke. But Lord, in spite of that, I'm going to believe that you're able to take care of this situation, in spite of the facts. So when we're enumerating the facts, just remember, we can do the facts or we can do prayer, which happens to mention a few things, but it doesn't matter. As long as we are going to God with belief, believing that he can handle everything in spite of the facts. And we don't have to update him. He already knows. He knows all things. So remember, there's two things you can do. You can do the facts, or you can go in prayer believing that God is able to handle the situation. Those are your two options. And the text just came to me, and this is the text, and I didn't even have it in my notes, but sometimes when I'm doing stuff, the Lord just says, oh yeah, you need to do this. And I'm like, well, Lord, I really had not, but he said, no, you need to do this. And you're like, okay, yeah, he'll do that to me. So the text everybody hates, and it's, Christians hate it too. The text everybody, they're really the ones that hate it. The people who are infidels, they don't care. Yeah, I know God is mean and everything, and he's after me. It's a conspiracy and everything. So let's turn to the text that nobody likes. Where is that text found? Romans 8, verse 28. The text that everybody despises. Romans 8, verse 28. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. I hope everyone is there, because we're going to do this together. And we know that, what's that word? Not most, not some, all things. And what do they do? For what? Wait a minute. You don't understand. I just had a flat, and the thing about it is I don't have a spare. What do you mean, all things? And they work together for good. And that's the text nobody likes. They're like, I'm okay if it says some things, most things. No, all things. Because remember, there are two goals, and sometimes they conflict with each other. Our goal is to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. That's our goal. Da-da-da. God has only one goal. I'm trying to save you for the kingdom where you can live forever. Okay, so sometimes those two goals conflict. They even clash sometimes because, no, I need to do this. Lord said, no, this needs to happen to help you make it to the kingdom. You mean I'm broke because you're trying to help me to the kingdom? Well, yeah, because if you had some money, I know what you would do if you had money. No, you don't need money. So, but we are like, I still want to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. Laura says, no, we're trying to save you. So take anything from the message is simply this. Believe in God. He's not interested in you updating him. He don't care about the facts. So please don't go with God with the facts and you're updating. Go to him in prayer, believing that he's able to take care of whatever situation you have encountered, whatever difficulty, because, all things work together for good with those that love the Lord. And then I need to go to my other text, and I was going to skip this. I shouldn't skip this text. This is one that needs to be posted everywhere. It's found in Isaiah 65, verse 24. Isaiah 65, verse 24 should be posted everywhere, in your house, in the car, everywhere. Isaiah chapter 65, verse 24, and it says, and it shall come to pass that before they call, before you even knew you had the problem, before they call. You haven't prayed yet. Lord already has a solution. He said, before they call, I will answer. He's already has a solution, even though didn't even know you had the problem, but he already had the solution for you. And we just need to believe, trust, have faith in God, and we'll make it to the kingdom.
Hymn 560. Let all things now living. Hymn 560.